our Tremolo series.
In this series, we're going to share with you tremolo pedals by some of our favorite manufacturers.
Thanks for joining us. All right, today we're looking at the Bias Tremolo from Origin Effects, and the Beard's going to tell you about this pedal.
Right.
From across the pond.
Right, and so we're getting... The series has been amazing, the different tremolos that we've been able to get in and check out, and I still am startled every time we pull one out. There's something new about this one. Right. Something unique about this tremolo pedal that kind of sets it apart from all the other ones. Mm-hmm. And so this has it. We'll get to it. In the last tremolo series, the last pedal we did the premiere, and during the premiere, somebody made a comment about the fact that I had the manual in my hand. And so I don't remember what video it was in our 1.5-year journey at this point that we totally just freely cashed in the man card and said, look, we're going to get the manual out on some of these. And so thank you, Origin, for throwing in the RevivalTREM Bias Tremolo Getting Started Guide, because it was valuable to us, you know, like pretty much laid it out for us right away. Typically, no, I shouldn't say that, because we more and more, I feel like, are holding these things up and saying, look, this. And
we're in good company. A lot of the shows we like to watch, they're looking at the manual. And
well, the bottom line is, pedals have now...
Yes, right.
If you pull out like the Barber Electronics Direct Drive that we talk about all the time, that's one of my favorite pedals, you don't need a manual. You got 3 knobs.
And one's a push-pull. That's the magic of that one. Everything else is
you might not have stumbled across the push-pull without the manual, but you probably could have got there eventually.
Right.
Some of these you're not going to use them to their full capability if you don't. So we'll be your manual for you. All right, so 64 brown face?
72.
72.
Hike. Yeah, now you can make me get my phone.
I think it's 74. So we have 62 Brown Deluxe amp.
All right, he's right.
62 Brown Deluxe amp.
I just wanted to be right.
So the Origin Effects has a whole Revival series. They have a bunch of pedals. Revival Drive is really popular. They have made like kind of these amp in a box type pedals that are amazing. Great sounding overdrives. They've taken the overdrive out of something that they're doing there, added tremolo to it, made this box. Right. So in this box you get amazing sounding overdrive, great, amazing sounding tremolo pedal, all in one box, modeled after the 62 Brown Deluxe, whatever it was.
Yep, Fender Brown Deluxe. Yep.
Amp. And I don't know, because I don't have a 62 Fender Brown Deluxe amp, so I don't know if it sounds like that. It's the dumble conversation we have all the time.
Right.
But it sounds really good. Features. The top row, you're going to see a volume, tone, and a gain. That should jump out at you. Is like kind of the drive section of it. If we come down to the bottom, this is really kind of interesting too. It has a post-drive EQ on it. And so it has a preamp, an EQ1, and EQ2. And they've given you 3 kind of post EQs to help me with this. But the first one's like if you're running direct or running into...
You're running IR or into a preamp, it's pretty flat.
Right, so you pop it there. If you get a really bright amp, pop it in the next one.
Right.
If you get a really dark amp, pop it down to EQ2.
Right.
And then you have this adjustment knob over here that helps you dial your highs where you want them.
Yeah, the highs are on the left, actually, and then the lows are on the right.
So as you move through, you go from like kind of brighter to...
Right.
If it's really, really bright, you go to the right. If it's really, really dark, you go to the left. So that's a really nice touch too. And then in the middle, we have our tremolo. And so on this side, we have our
intensity.
And then we have our speed on the right side, which is pretty standard there for a tremolo, right? How deep, how intense do you want it? How fast do you want it? Giving you 2 sine waves. No, giving you 2 waveforms. The top one's a sine wave. The other one's a full wave. It's more of kind of like a hump. You can see the picture maybe there. And then if you jump over to the speed, we have 3 multipliers. And so just using it normally, And X1, you're going to have like slow to slow, and then you go to X2, it gets a little faster. X3 gets even faster. If you're using tap tempo, X1's quarter notes, X2 eighth notes, X3 triplets. And we'll show you that later. So with that, we're playing. You're playing.
Yes, I'm playing the RevivalTREM Bias 8 through the Tyler AmpWorks PT22. Reference tone. Reverb in the amp. I've already kind of set up the drive, I think, and I think we left it on the same EQ. So the first click of the pedal, you'll see the jewel light turn red. That's the drive.
Okay. I was like, oh, yes.
Oh, that's what that was.
Yes, nice, nice.
And there's your drive pedal show over. Like that, it's just huge.
Sounds great.
It does.
Let's do it again.
Okay.
All right. So then we hit the other side. This will turn green, indicate the tremolo's on. And I think play it, and then we'll explain what happened.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll have you do it here again in a second. So you have, this is modeled after a bias tremolo. And so a bias tremolo, we're not experts, bear with us. If you go to that old 62 brown face amp, it's the plate voltage on a set of tubes or on tubes that's really controlling the tremolo. So that voltage going across the tubes is being changed. All right, so that's how you're getting your tremolo. It makes for a really nice kind of rounded musical tremolo. Until you smack the power tubes. And then when you smack the power tubes, they're actually going to drown out.
Yeah. It's like, we'll get to you in a second. Just sit back there for a minute.
Right. They're going to drown out the tremolo tubes.
Right.
And so you hear a nice big full gainy sound of the guitar. And then as that's fading out, you hear that tremolo come back in. And so this is a characteristic of an old amp like that, and they've nailed it because it does it.
Right. And maybe we'll put it in X2 a little faster.
Okay.
Just to kind of, you heard it. I let it ring forever. But if we did the same thing again. It's great.
Right. I really like how it like sneaks up on it. I mean, it's there. When you put it next to, I can hear it more in the initial chords you hit than I could in the slower one. But it also, it creeped up, it felt like it creeped up faster too because there's more of a
Pulse
going on.
Yeah.
And that is just, I don't know, I feel like
that's the magic of the pedal.
it is. And somebody's like, I watched a video the other day where people were like gushing and they're like saying, "Oh, these pedal reviews that we're not pedal reviewers, by the way. We're just having fun. This is what we would do if you weren't here." We review the stuff we like, and this is
No exception.
we don't review. We check out the stuff we like. We're going after the stuff that we like, and this is no exception to that. And it sounds great. And so if somebody's gonna be like, "Well, you're gushing too much," or like whatever,
Right. We're not paid gushers. We're just gushers.
right? I mean, this is just really good.
Yeah.
That is a unique. We have 22 tremolo pedals in the first run. We are adding 8. We haven't done all of the 22, but we're pretty close to being at least halfway through every one that we have. That's kind of a unique. I don't know if anybody's attempted to really get that sound yet.
No. And where you can completely separate the two. I think there's others that have an element of drive that are always there. This is actually...
Right, like a knob that you can drive.
Right. This has a drive knob, but it clearly has a two switch.
Right, but the drive knob is not part of the tremolo.
Right. Totally separate.
Totally separate. Now, you are layering the tremolo on top of the drive. Like after you have to turn the pedal on, so you're kicking in that that drive.
You can't uncouple them backwards per se. The drive is always going to be there. You can't just have just tremolo, but you're always going to have the drive. But you can control the drive.
You can get a clean trem.
Sure.
So what would we need to do?
We'll look at the manual. No, to get a clean trim.
That's great.
To get a clean trim, I think it was bad. It's true though. I'm not kidding. Let's see. So there's to clean it up a little bit. So it's still a little, but to get the clean trim. We're just going to flip the EQ for a second. You can hear it. There's still a little... I mean, to get a sparkly clean, probably have to take that down even more, bring that up. Maybe go back to that EQ.
We broke the typical format.
Right,
So we didn't do the drive. So you got going. I'm like, what does the intensity sound like? So we did just roll the intensity all the way down, back up. We went from the sine wave to the full wave in there too. The thing that I notice is now that you've cleaned that up, the tremolo is always there.
Right.
Because you're not
It's
smacking
not
it to hit those power tubes to make them more saturated than the tremolo is. So you can do that. You can pull the drive back and get like a tremolo that's always kind of there, or you can kind of push that drive and get the one that kind of sneaks in underneath of everything, which is really cool.
There's flexibility there. You just have to decide what you want it to be. Mm-hmm. You know, to get the drive down enough to get that clean tremolo, you gotta massage it and manipulate a little bit. But once you get there, it sounds good.
I think too we should maybe do just a couple. I'm going to turn that up a little bit so people can hear it. If I take this X up to X1, the multi-switch up to X1, and you do a strum just so we can hear it, then I'll take it to 2 and then take it to 3.
Right.
So that's pretty useful. You have like kind of 3 different ranges on it.
Right.
Until we plug in, so we take our TRS cable. I don't know that you need to have that, but and plug in something like this, which is just a momentary switch, and now I can tap it in. So when I tap in on X1, it will be quarters, X2 will be eighths, and X3 will be triplets. So if I tap in...
Sorry?
What? 1, 2, 3, 4.
And it's got a perpetual throb there. Like it just goes.
And that's really nice because that makes this thing set up adaptable with like any of your controllers. So if you're using like the Boss controller or the Dan's from the pedal, what is it, the G1 or whatever.
Yeah.
And any of those types of controllers, you have that port, you have that capability. So you could be sending tap tempo, you could be sending like I probably would take like a clock signal from, pretty sure. So then you have quarters, eighth notes, and triplet subdivisions that you can assign with it. So like really, really cool from that. I just think that adds so much functionality when you have that. And at first, I really didn't think this one had a trap. A tap.
A tap.
Yeah, a tap tempo. So that's a nice added feature to that pedal. Built like a
tank.
Yeah, I remember like when it first came. I'm like, I let him unbox it because I knew. I'm like, here you go, boom.
Right.
He's like, what is this? It was huge. Pulling it out of the box.
Because you have an amp inside there.
Yeah, there's an amp in the box.
That's right, minus the speaker.
So, anything else? Did we miss anything?
I think we covered it all. I mean,
anything we? It's interesting. I mean, it's a really interesting concept because where do you put it? Do you run it kind of light so you get the light trim? Do you run it with drive? Or are you running another drive? You know, maybe get another Revival drive right next to it and you'd have more drives than you'd ever need.
Right.
How do you put it in? Where would you kind of include it? Because the tremolo is in there. You know, do you want that later? But almost like could see that as kind of like a standalone pedal. Like if you were going out to do maybe that and a delay pedal or something, you're good to go.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Right.
Well, not a tuner, but you know. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, because that drive in itself is great. And then you want to layer it with a little movement, and then, like you said, with a delay, I could get through with that.
And my guess is, if we're getting ready to play out, that you're going to want to take the drive. And
probably.
How high?
Hurt myself, or you, or both of us, or.
But anyway, at this point in time, we always like to say,
right.
Thank you to everybody that's subscribing, clicking notification, clicking like, going out to Instagram or Facebook, following us there. Anytime you communicate with us, it helps the channel. We're doing this for fun. And so you're helping us have fun, and we appreciate that because you're like that's our kind of people, I think.
Right. Yes,
people that want to help us have fun.
Yeah, right.
I think with that,
I'm PJ on behalf of the Beard, reminding you, no matter what you hear, you never have too much gear. And there we go.